You're muted. Just a second. Good morning,
right.
everyone.
Okay, my mouth was all tied
go
up.
ahead. There you
Okay,
go.
well, I was saying Happy Father's Day out there to everyone who is a father or is playing the part, and that's a big responsibility, and we thank you all for all the love and caring that you show, and we support you. And I want to welcome everyone to the Spirit Sessions View of the Light, where we get together like this once a week, our big family that we are. Here's a little sage for everyone. And also off to the side, I have a little sandalwood going. So, it's smelling pretty good over here, which I'm tired of smelling allergies. And so now we got some sage.
Awesome.
So today we have the return of someone who is so exciting, and the energy is just beautiful, beautiful, balanced energy. It is our own Akashic sibling, Katie Steinle, and she is our special correspondent to the show because she teaches us so much. And today she's going to be teaching us about the energies for the next quarter, right? For what we're in right now.
Yep.
Yeah. So welcome, Katie, and Rhonda. Take it away and bring Katie in.
I'm going to bring Katie in here. Hey, Katie. Oh, I'm so glad you're willing to be up 3 hours early on Sunday morning and join us from the West Coast. Katie, you're an amazing healer. You have so many wonderful gifts. You are a Qigong master. You have Reiki. You do these biotones, which you're going to share with us today. But I think what you found your real niche is in human design, and combining all those gifts into a beautiful kind of healing modality that you've established with yourself. I mean, if you go see Katie for any of those things, you're going to get a great combination. And I know we've shared back and forth healing modalities, and I can honestly say her biotones really helped me out when I was struggling after my operation. And before my operation, she prepped me all and everything went well, and I could listen to them in the hospital. And then all the good energy you sent me, it was awesome. So I'm really, really happy that you're my friend, and you, like Teresa says, you have such lovely balanced energy, and I'm so happy that I met you in person a couple of years ago. But so excited that you're here today as our special correspondent, and we love that title because we keep having you over and over every turn of the season because we depend upon your insight and your knowledge. So
I love it. I feel like, one of on the news, like the weather report person, that does storms, and the special correspondence interviews. And so it's just, I'm so honored that you guys let me come on and play with you. Jen. Hi, Jen. Oh my gosh.
From Ecuador, right?
Yes.
Jen's in Ecuador. Woo! Yes. Thanks, Jen. We love you.
We're representing all over the world today. And I just want to bring us in. I've got this beautiful chakra wind chime, and just thought it would be so wonderful, speaking of biotuning, to just listen to a little bit of that. Everybody just take that in. And let's get to it. I just love this time of year, the summertime. My birthday's in August. I'm a Leo, so this is my season. And you can see how excited I am about this. And I just adore this show and what you do and everything about you. We go way back, like Teresa said. The three of us probably have known each other for what, 5 or 10 years? How long is it?
Well, this must be 6 years at least, 7 or 8 years, 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah.
And in the internet world, that's a long time.
It's a long time.
It's longer than a Hollywood marriage. Sorry.
One day, Teresa and I, we will get a chance to meet in person. But Ron and I, we met a couple years back, and we talk all the time. It's just, that's what I do love about the social media aspect, of the world we live in. You do tend to be able to find your tribe, right? Wherever they are. Like we said, Ecuador, or, Rhonda's in Canada, and Teresa and I are in the States. So, if you're feeling a little lost or lonely out there, don't give up. Tune into shows like this that really are about, connection. And we are a living testament to, how much that can change your life. But yeah, let's get to the energy. Like Rhonda was explaining, my specialty is, I call myself an energy alchemist. So I've studied for many, many years, all the aspects of energy. And it really is true, that saying, as above, so below, as without, so within. We are finally on the, Western hemisphere, science is finally starting to really catch up to this, things that they've known, in Eastern wisdoms for thousands of years. And so we really are, always being influenced and imprinted, by the cosmic energy. And, I call it the cosmic weather. But, the way that the planets, move, and each planet holds its own consciousness, if you will, of energy. And they found that they're called neutrinos, but they're the tiniest particles. They're smaller, than an atom, and they can actually move through matter. They're so small. And so, you can just close your eyes and picture that, all of, this energy is kind of swirling around, and it's moving through us and imprinting us and impacting our lives. And then, we imprint it, and it moves around the world, right? We've realized in the last, 10 plus years just how globally connected we really are. That butterfly effect, that science experiment years ago where, they said, why is it that a butterfly can flap its wings in Alaska and somewhere in South America, it will impact the way butterflies move. But it is true. Everything is moving and swirling together. So the summer solstice, which is coming up on Wednesday, it's the 21st. This is a really important time because we look to, like I said, nature to really tune into the subtler energies that are going to be kind of that background frequency for us. That's just, it's below that conscious awareness, right? But it's impacting, what comes into our lives, the things that we kind of just naturally start to focus on, all the little things. And when we can start to talk about these things and become aware of these things, awareness is everything, because we're finding out more and more that consciousness is, how conscious, how when you hear people say conscious, they're talking about how awake are you to the subtler energies, right? To the finer details of life. And the more that we can expand our awareness of things, expand our consciousness, we not only impact ourselves and start to be able to hold more consciousness, more light, but like we're talking about the energies today, knowing it allows you to not react, not get so emotionally triggered when these things do come into your field. Because us talking about some of these themes that you might be seeing playing out in the next couple of months, when they do start to come into your world and they start to play out, it's like a surfer, right? You can kind of ride the wave of the energy and really use it in your favor, or at least not, react emotionally and do things that you spontaneously do and you later regret, right? We've all been there. So yeah, just to break it down, solstice is in the Latin words. Solstice is basically, the sol means sun, and the stis is the standing still. So this is the longest day of the year, and to respond rather than react. Amen, Melinda. If we could all do that, just think, if we could all do that, like 20% less, how much we would change the world overnight. Really, it's just amazing. And allow ourselves to start to be intentional in what we create in our lives, right? But yeah, back to the solstice. So the solstice is the longest day of the year, and the shortest amount of darkness. And then after Wednesday, the days, will slowly, in the Western hemisphere, start to get a little shorter. Darkness, night starts to get a little longer, and then it's flipped in the southern hemisphere. I think I said northern and southern. But this energy, just like you can think, when we break this down, this is a time of light and expansion. This is why we do seem to have more energy, and we want to get together more and have parties and barbecues and be outside more, right? Because the weather's nice and the sun's out, and it's just a time when the earth is at her fullness of energy. And we are magnetic beings, right? When we put our feet on the earth, we are connecting in with that magnetism, that gravity of Gaia that holds us in our trajectory, of time and space. So really, take your shoes and socks off, put your feet, in the grass as much as you can, because you are, kind of getting that boosted support of, the earth when she's flourishing, at her highest, and you see all the flowers are blooming, and you just think that's what's happening within you. So you naturally, this tends to be a time where we really want to, get out and take action and cultivate what we've been thinking about and percolating on all winter long. And so some of the themes that you might be noticing coming into your field, your awareness more in these months of the summer are just kind of our consciousness as a whole is really being stretched. We are really at this tipping point. It's such an exciting time to be alive and to be on this planet. And I know, there's a lot of people would say, wait, what are you talking about? Things are so chaotic, and, we don't know what's happening one day to the next. Things are changing so fast. Have you guys felt like time is almost speeding up?
Oh, it's been speeding up. Yeah, it's been changing. But some days go really, really slow, parts of them. And then other days are just like boom. How is it June 18th already? Like it was just April. It's
Yeah,
weird.
you're right. You're right. You notice it more with the year. You're right. But yeah, it really is. We in the last couple months, just the way things have been in, kind of the cosmos, is we've hit this tipping point of collective consciousness. I mean, when we move on from these bodies, right, we're still there. Our energy is still it's present. It's alive. We are just consciousness. So we're just in a different, kind of dimensional form, but we're all connected, and we're connected, like I said, to all that is. I love breaking down, the five elements, in the Chinese culture of what comprises us, what comprises the universe. The fire, we're in summer is, fire energy. And when you think of a fire, you think it expands, it goes up, right? And it goes out, and it just kind of spreads to everything that it touches. And that is the energy that we're in. And so, as you might feel, you might notice that, you're just all of a sudden having maybe more interest in things, in topics and shows like this that, are about, increasing your awareness, starting to kind of wonder about, things that you might not have thought about, a few years back. But you are feeling this, propulsion towards raising your consciousness. And I thought this was so cool. This scientific fact I came across this last week, that there's a scale. I don't know if anybody's heard of the David Hawkins scale, but they rank emotion kind of, I think they take like Hertz frequencies, and they can actually rank where emotions are on a scale. Thank you, Kayla. Like shame, guilt, we all know those are some of the lowest vibrating emotions that we can resonate with, right? They're very dense. And so they might be like 100, say, on the scale of consciousness. And as you move up and you're able to hold higher vibrating emotions, like for instance, love is 500 on the consciousness scale. So anybody that is able to kind of maintain that level, that 500 level of resonance, it can impact 600,000 people that
Wow.
are vibrating, resonating on a lower level scale.
Wow.
So, really, just take that in for a minute because we all kind of think, I don't really matter, gosh, I'm not impacting the world. But when you start to look at some of these things that science is actually really starting to come out with to support what people like us have been studying forever, it's really cool and it's really exciting to know that, yeah, when you're having a good day, right? And you're in line at the Starbucks, and you're talking to everybody, how many people you really do impact without even being aware of it. So I think that's important to note. And yes, I will say, as you're starting to expand and you're feeling this pull, because we're all feeling this pull to kind of up level and raise our consciousness. It's thanks, Melinda. I'm so glad you're on today. Melinda's another one from our crew, right? She's one of the OGs. I love it. But when you are starting to kind of up level, do not be surprised that you might notice more of the suffering in the world, right? Your awareness is going to be higher. And we are all going, I don't know anybody right now that is not going through something, something significant. Or if they're not, they know, somebody that they love is. We just all are really being pushed to really tap into ourselves and start coming out and connecting again with other people after the aftermath of the pandemic when we were isolated for so long. And this is all part of kind of the ultimate, Miranda mentioned I specialize in human design. And so we look at you as an individual and what your energetic blueprint is for why you came here in this lifetime, who you really are, strip away all the conditioning, get down to your core. And this is why you're here. This is your purpose. But we also look at the cycles of, the evolution of humanity. And it is quite interesting when you get this is very logical system. There's not a lot of woo-woo, like you might think. But, all of these things that we see happening around us that we, kind of question, we will be able to look back, in a few years and see that all of this happened exactly on purpose, right? For, moving us along to be able to reach this tipping point where we are starting to question and we are starting to be more involved and especially AI, right? That's again another thing that's coming into our world right now that is making us all kind of start to question and want to know more about it and how is it going to impact us. And this is part of this expansion in consciousness. So just be aware that yes, things might seem chaotic, but this is a process that anything you can do right now to just be extra kind to yourself as you are going through these changes individually, and we are collectively. Anything that you can do every day to light you up, right? To find that peace within yourself, and instead of trying to find it in the world or on the news or places where you might not feel like you can find it right now. But really try to regulate your energy, because when we are in this season of fire energy, right, where things can really kind of expand quickly, you want to be on top of that energy, and you want to be very aware of things that you are incorporating every day to kind of keep yourself balanced, keep your feet on the ground, right? Like, I don't know, for you two, I mean, what is your go-to thing? To me, I have to go for a walk in the woods like every day. That is what really just kind of gets me grounded. What about you two?
Absolutely. Have to go outside. I have to be
Right.
outside. But that's every day of the year, not just in this time. But this time I have to be outside early in the morning. That's when I
Oh gosh, that's magic. Yeah.
bugs or no bugs, I have to be outside. So yeah, I
And
started getting up a half an hour earlier. It used to be 5:30, now it's 5. I go out and walk the dogs. So
see,
they make
that's
me.
great because there's a lot of people that would go 5:30, forget about it, because that's not easy. I mean, that takes effort, but I guarantee, Rhonda, you would probably say that shifts your entire day.
Oh yeah, it goes from um, because I give to myself first in that hour, from 5 to 6. Then the rest of the day, I don't feel resentful for working, or yeah. So I don't feel like, oh my god, like, okay, I've already got my dose of sunshine and my dose of outside. So it's a good way to inoculate yourself against the rest of the day. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And what about you, Teresa? What's your go-to thing to regulate your energy?
Well, yeah, for me, it is the early morning hours because I'm so conveniently up at that time anyway. But me and my cat go outside on the back porch when it's still dark outside, and I can hear everything when it's still quiet to when
Oh,
the chorus of birds happens. Rhonda, what'd you call that? The dawn chorus or something like that. Yeah, so there's this beautiful dawn chorus, and me and the kitty get to be out there when it begins, and then we go out the front door and catch even more of it. And because I've been connecting with the birds lately, man, that is such a magical time, and it lifts your vibrations. So I'm sure I'm grounding in because you kind of got to ground in to be open and receptive to that point and
good
and
point.
then it carries you away and it's like, oh my god, I love it. Who
Yeah,
thought of that?
yeah, if your head's up in the clouds too much, we aren't here, right? Actually, like present and able to, do the things I mentioned, where you can intentionally start to, focus on what you want to create in your life. Oh, and Melinda, she just is the love bug. Yeah, sometimes that is true, Melinda. I wouldn't be surprised if you have a lot of fire energy in you. That is my main energy constitution. And so we actually, to a certain extent, get recharged by connecting with other people. Like it actually, recharges us where some people, if you're an introvert, you have to really, you need to just separate yourself and find something that's quiet, to do. But just start to think about that, because I love the examples that you two just gave. I mean, they're very simple, right? It's not something that's elaborate or cost a lot of money. But right now you really need to be checking in and taking care of yourself because things are changing and our nervous system, which 90% of what we take in any given moment is subconscious. We're not even aware of it. Like our nervous system, has a radius about, arm's length, it's our auric field, our energy field, and it's constantly taking information in, even behind us, right? Even things that we aren't able to see and be aware of. And there are so many changes. And we are working more with unknowns, right? And so that heightens the nervous system. And so guess what that does? It creates anxiety, right? And then it can create depression and all the things that we're all dealing with right now. So yeah, listening to your body is key. And that's your senses, that's your intuition, right? And your intuition is your spidey sense. It's your sensory, starting to get into these subtler energies, because when you do, it won't steer you wrong, and you will feel that universal support this summer, of kind of, working with the nervous system, because as on the solstice, the sun enters the sign of Cancer, the sun and the moon. And so this is Cancer is, if Kayla's watching, she's a Cancer. Cancer is, I love Cancers. They are the nurturers. They are so emotionally sensitive and aware. They're very psychic. They love, just taking care of everybody and, making sure, everything is, kind of at a peace and, That's their thing. And so because we all are going to be influenced, by this Cancer energy, you might find that, you might get a little more emotionally triggered than you maybe typically would. And you might be going, gosh, why is this happening? Well, now right? So it's like, now if it happens, you can go, oh, right on time. Okay, I'm not going to take this personally because it's just the energy that is, kind of moving and swirling and bringing things to my attention so that I can work on myself, and I can work on my relationships. The in June and July, you are going to probably notice a theme of really, really having a focus on your relationships. What's working, what's not, what relationships are you in? Start asking yourself where you are people pleasing, right? And not really putting your needs first or voicing your needs and wants because you're afraid that might impact the other. We actually, when this Wednesday, when we go into the sun in Cancer, we are going to have a cardinal cross, which is really cool. When you look at the astrology signs, 4 of these signs are considered cardinal energy. Very like that's the fire, right? That's the first one out the gate at the race, right? Like that's that leader, that's the initiating kind of energy. And we have all 4 of those cardinal energies activated right now. So you are going to feel probably this extra kind of oomph to like really want to go out and like pursue, what you've been wanting to do, or, get things moving. And so that is, it's interesting energy because we also have 5 planets that are in retrograde, which is kind of like if you looked in the sky and you saw the planets, it would almost look like they were moving backwards, instead of forwards. What this does is it kind of gives us more of an inward focus. It's a time where you might start to go back to things that maybe have happened in the last year and think about them, like if you didn't get a chance to end something, it might come back to you for an opportunity to kind of re-look at it. You think of retrograde, retro, redo. But basically, if you are feeling, that big rush of energy, it's that cardinal cross that's going to be kind of in our field. And that involves, we've got Neptune, which is all about our spiritual connection, that feeling of oneness, and that really kind of going inward and like, who am I? And I really want to get to that inner truth of things. That is one of the planets that is going to be, retrograde in Pisces, which is about our spirituality. So basically what that means is it's going to be giving you the energy to shed the people and the habits that you've outgrown. But you're probably going to go through this process of really kind of starting to question, certain relationships and certain people that you're around. And we've got a July 22nd, Venus is going to be, in retrograde in Leo. So again, that's going to amplify our emotions and our imaginations. And so, don't let that get the better of you, because you might, since we are going to be relationship focused this summer, how somebody can text and just be like, hey, how are you? And then, if your emotions are kind of amplified, or you're just triggered, or your imagination's going wild, you might go, what do they mean by that? And then you play it out in your head. And then like you're starting an argument with them and they're like, I don't know, this girl is crazy. I don't even know what just happened. Like, don't be surprised, if you aren't emotionally regulating, things like this can play out. And today, actually, we've got a new moon in Gemini, but it's squaring Neptune in Pisces that I just mentioned. And so Gemini is our mind and our wanting to connect with others. So you see, there's a lot of themes here, that are going to just be playing out for us about connecting.
Busy sky.
Yeah, it's a busy sky. Exactly. It has been a busy sky. There have been so many like astrological events that only happen once every 20 years or something.
Yeah.
They just the last year or two, because things are changing for us, and a lot of that is kind of that background frequency, if you think about it, that is we're just moving through and we're being influenced by to get us where we need to go collectively. But yeah, the new moon energy is just kind of an invitation for you to really, again, it's that questioning our reality, right? Because this is squaring, Neptune and Pisces, which is about, that spiritual side of us, and really kind of Gemini's the mind. So you might find yourself kind of starting to get more curious about, some of the things that we're even talking about today, and wanting to, kind of look stuff up, or, talk to people about it. You guys can always reach out to me, because I could nerd out on this stuff like all day long, as you guys both know. But we also, just another part of that cardinal cross I mentioned is Pluto, which is huge. Pluto is one of the furthest away planets. And so like planets like Pluto and Neptune, yes, they're going to impact each of us uniquely, right? But they're the kind of planets that really kind of impact all of us. They're big energy that you're not going to be able to kind of crawl under a rock, right? And think you're going to, escape it. Pluto is the planet of, death, rebirth, transformation. Pluto is huge. You want to know, what Pluto's doing, because that's going to clue you into kind of what areas that you're going to feel inclined to want to transform in your own life. And right now we've got Pluto, again, all these planets that are going into retrograde. Pluto is retrograded back into Capricorn just until October. And then it eventually moves into the Aquarius, where I'm sure you guys have heard, people talk about, we're moving into the Aquarian age, like the age of Aquarius. And we're like, what exactly does that mean? But this opportunity, again, when, Pluto goes back into Capricorn one last time, I mean, this has been going on for like 8 years. This is like a last opportunity. Capricorn's about structures and systems. And so really taking a look at what structures and systems you have in place. What does your foundation look like as we move forward, kind of into this new way of being? Like AI has really brought, a lot of this to the forefront. Things are really changing dynamically and quickly. And the way that we do life is changing dynamically and quickly. And so what Pluto and Capricorn is like kind of encouraging you to do is we are as a whole moving towards a more self-empowered time, not relying on systems and structures that we've always relied on to take care of us. And we've seen a lot of that play out with the pandemic. And, that's Pluto's been in Capricorn, and people are having to find, their own way of doing things. Right now, my husband is dealing with some medical diagnosis. I'm sure you realize this too, Rhonda, you big medical situation that you were navigating. And the medical system is just, they're struggling. It is unbelievable. And a doctor told me last week, she said, yeah, the medical, staff as a whole is down 30% of what it was pre-COVID. And that, when you think of a third less, people, in positions, to be able to, move, all these people that are trying to move through that system, you're going to feel it. Right. And so it is this, direct visceral experience that we're having of, wow, okay, we are going to have to find ways ourselves, like the biofeedback that we're going to do today, the human design, the Reiki, the Qigong, all of these things that we can put in our little tool belt that, when you do them all, together, it allows you to, have the healing, that without maybe necessarily needing to, seek the medical attention that you used to have to seek, being able to, do quantum healing, things like that. So I hope that, I'm trying to kind of hit like some of the major themes and points, just so that you can start to, really, this is a time that you might feel, like I said, some of this push to go inward, right? And so take some of these things that we're talking about today and just start to mull over them, and how can you be more self-empowered? Ask yourself that question instead of relying on systems and things that are outside of yourself. And don't deny the present. The present moment is the most powerful moment you can have. And I know we all hear this, and I hear it and I go, yeah, 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 that's all good. But then, a minute later, I'm future tripping. I'm trying to get ahead of things, thinking somehow I'm going to be able to control it if I do. And all that does when you are, not really fully present and you're future tripping, that's what causes anxiety, right? Because a lot of things that are happening, we can't control. And if we could just go inward and do more, self-love, self-care, self-empowerment, self-growth, those kinds of things, then you would feel more grounded, right? And you would have more of a foundation and you wouldn't be as impacted by this chaos. And then, the other side of that is when you're not present and you're going to the past, which, I've really, really struggled with, a huge growth, lesson I'm still dealing with because I lost my son, my beautiful son, just turned 18 3 years ago, and I lost him. And here we are in graduation season. And, it just, a lot of, I'm getting emotionally triggered big time, like all this stuff I can see playing out in my own world and really having to catch myself. And, instead of going into the grief, and the sadness and, thinking, of him not being able to graduate, that's causing depression and that is not good for me. Right. And so being aware and self-empowered enough to catch myself in these moments and go, Katie, okay, just bring yourself back to the present. What's happening right now? Guess what? When you're in the present, you aren't depressed or anxious. You, for the most part, you're whole, So if we can just try to do that and move ourselves to that place, especially when we have this cardinal energy that's really giving us this extra oomph to really do these kinds of things now, you are going to show up more fully in the world. You're going to feel more calm. You're going to feel more present. The truer you can be showing up as yourself, not being, somewhere that you're not, right? The better we all will be. I mean, we are all having a unique experience, and the world needs the combination of all of that to thrive. That's why we each have our own purpose and reason for being here. It's no longer about, oh, I want to fit in. I need to blend in and just be like that. If I'm an accountant, I need to look and dress like every accountant out there. Notice, no, now, things are changing, right? Structures are breaking down, and it is more about standing out. What can you bring to the table that's unique, right? Like, how can you be creative in a way that, other people aren't, because we've lost a lot of that creativity because we're looking down on our phones and letting other people do it for us. So yeah, so just some things to, kind of think about and be aware of. And let's see, how are we doing on time? We've got 20 minutes. So I wanted to just do a quick Qigong before we move into the biofeedback. Just a really quick, simple Qigong exercise that you can do to just kind of clear ourselves out. Kind of sometimes you just need to stand and shake your body, right? And like let go of the stuff that's just clogging up the pipes. And that way, when we do listen to the biofeedback, we will be in this open space because, just like light and dark, attract. When you think of our bodies, we are matter, but we hold light. Our our body is the vessel that holds our soul, and our soul is the light that we are for eternity, right? Like even, when we close our eyes for the last time, I've just watched and listened to so many near-death experiences, especially after losing my son. And they're all the same, and that's when like, okay, it's not like somebody's just making something up or their imagination's gone wild, but you still continue on, right? You still have all of that sensory awareness. It's just the body that's, no longer with us. So, these things that we're doing today are great things that you can start to do, just, so that you are living more in a conscious place instead of just going through life. You know what I mean? Like not really being aware, and letting other people kind of determine your life for you, right? So I'm just going to go and move my chair. And you don't have to, if you're sitting down, you can stay seated. But this is, I wish I was further back so you guys could kind of see my whole body, but you'll get the gist. So what we're going to do is we've got our feet, kind of hip width apart, right? And we're just going to go ahead and we're going to start. You're just going to drop your hands down and connect in with the earth. Just picture, kind of a string of light from your fingertips to the earth, and just bring that energy up. And you can see we're bringing it up throughout, like our auric field that I mentioned, our nervous system. And you're connecting it above you, with heaven energy or higher consciousness energy. And you're just bringing that down into your body. You can picture it just going down your spinal cord, and you can drop your hands down to the earth, but it just kind of allows you to just pause and take a minute to connect in. And then I want you to go ahead and put your hands, this is your lower dantian. This is our powerhouse, right? And Qigong, where we kind of store all of our energy that we've just refined, right? And we've brought in. And I have to say, I drew a card just, kind of to, what would be, the universal supporting energy that, everybody needs to know today. And the card that I drew before I came on, interesting enough, is the solar light upgrade. And this is all about activation of the solar plexus, which is right in that area, that we're focusing on. And that is, you can see it's literally a sun, it's like the solar plexus is kind of, we hold, this is the core of our being. And so when you've got your hands on your dantian, I want you, if you can, to just close your eyes and just take a minute and just kind of tune into yourself. Again, go inward and connect in, with the solar plexus, with the sacral chakra, with the root chakra. And, think about that inner fire that is getting activated in you right now. And visualize just a great fiery light switching on, picture yourself calling out your solar power. You can even see like a ray of light, maybe coming up and out of your crown chakra. But just know that the sun is shining on you these months that we're in right now. And it's activating you to push onward and to create. This is the perfect time to move forward if you have projects or goals or intentions. And this is a time to align your energy with whatever you're ready to create and experience. Focus on what you want to grow and where you are ready to expand. And as you focus on your goals, you are giving them energetic encouragement to flourish and to open, like a warm summer kissing the ground, encouraging the flowers to grow and to bloom, just reminding your body that sunlight has arrived and it is here in you now. And I just love having a chance to kind of just connect and activate that. And so if you want, go ahead and open your eyes. And what we're going to do is, we're going to just take our arms up and stretch up to the sky. You're kind of connecting in with that sun energy, right? And if you can, raise yourself up on your tippy toes, You're really stretching. You're really connecting up with that beautiful bright light. And then I want you to, as you drop your hands, you're going to drop them down to your sides, and you're going to drop your feet down, and you're just going to say, ha, or whatever you can to just breathe out. So you just let go of anything that no longer serves you. Okay. So 3, 2, 1, ha. And you're going to bring your hands down, and you're going to hit right here, because this is going to be activating specific meridian acupuncture points that, again, are going to let go of emotional baggage. We're going to do this 3 times, okay? So raise up again, go up on those tippy toes, really connect in, bring in that higher consciousness, and let go, and just feel any energy that you don't want to be with you anymore, just moving right down into the earth. Let her take it. She will transform it. She loves that. She will be like, thank you. It's like a bolt of lightning for her. Okay, and then one more time. We're going to raise up, go up on those tippy toes. Think about what you want to release, and come down. Ha! And then go ahead and shake it out a little bit. And then again, we always end with a gathering breath, just connecting in with the earth, and we're bringing in fresh energy, right? And we're connecting in with that brilliant, bright sun. And we're bringing that light down the central column and letting it ground in. Just picture it becoming a little ball of light, just a tiny little ball of light, and putting it right behind your belly button and letting it rest there for when you need it. On those days where you just need a little extra boost of energy. Now you can put your hands on your dantian, and you'll have that. And you can do it now. If you have a piece of paper and a pen, I would love it. If you don't, just make a note of this. I just wanted to throw out a ritual that you could do. You can do it anytime, for the next week. Yes, the solstice is on Wednesday, but we are already in this is really powerful energy, because this is kind of, you can literally see, like, it's a powerful time in nature. There's a reason, like in Stonehenge, like in some of the places in Egypt where, they built specific stones that would capture, the placement of the sun, on these events, like the summer and the winter solstice, because they knew this is almost like nature resetting, right? Nature, kind of having a huge transformation. And so know that that's what's happening, internally too. It's really activating us to go, whoa, okay, it's on for these next couple months. So a great ritual that you can do, we're working with the fire energy, like I said, write down and be intentional about this, like really, they're finding out in science more and more, you probably are hearing conscious entanglement. If you haven't, you will be, but they're really starting to actually, science is catching up and being able to prove that, our conscious awareness is powerful electromagnetic energy that we emit electromagnetic energy from our brains and from our hearts. And it kind of goes out and creates this, energetic field around us. So what you focus on, you create more of. So really be conscious and intentional with, 3 things, write down that you are grateful for. That this is a way to kind of acknowledge the abundance in your life, right? Because as we practice gratitude and we look and appreciate the abundance that we have, even if it's super small, and you have to go, I'm grateful, I got out of bed today, whatever it is, but just acknowledging that is so important, because you're letting the universe know you're grateful. Send me more of that. So 3 things that you are grateful for, or that are abundant in your life right now. And then 3 things that you're calling in, asking and I want you, if you can, to burn this. You can, if you got a fire pit, or, you can do it, even over your sink, just be careful, you know what I mean? Or in a pot, but yeah, you can find a way to burn the paper. But as you're doing that, I mean, you're asking the summer, the fire energy that's upon us, to attune us to this expansive abundance and vitality, that we are naturally being supported by right now in the next 3 months in this season of summer. And then release that when you burn it and you watch it burn and you watch it turn and transform into the ashes. Again, you can like actually feel, that energy and see that energy transform. So release that into the power of the fire and just know that's one step closer to watching your dreams come true. Here comes the guy to the door looking for love. Well, you go, baby. I love that. Go get yourself some. That's funny. Okay, so
Different than Girl Guide cookies for sure. Somebody coming to the house looking for love. But like she said, she can watch this again on the replay. And if you miss any part, you can do this again and again on the replays or the podcast, whichever you like.
I'm glad you brought that up, because now that we are doing some of the biofeedback, this is probably, if it resonates with you, a lot of people, the biofeedback frequencies, these are perfected Hertz frequencies, just to explain what the quantum biofeedback that I work with is based off voice spectrum analysis. And it's amazing. If you think about it, every cell in your body has its own unique vibration. And what their science has found is when we speak, it's kind of a culmination of everything that is going on with us mentally, physically, and even energetically. It can give more detail, or at least as much detail as a blood draw. Just taking a sample, if I did like a one-on-one session with you, and took a sample of your voice. And then what that does is it breaks your voice down, through mathematical algorithms and, all the techie stuff into patterns, and compares that where you're at with perfected Hertz resonances. So you get this massive detailed breakdown, of where you're off, or maybe where you're sluggish, or where you have too much energy. And then you can listen to the specific frequencies, depending on what you need. That what it does is, like, say if your liver is a little sluggish, if you listen to, hey, this is what a perfect optimal operating liver, is supposed to sound and vibrate at, it creates your natural healing ability, right? Because your body starts to kind of go, oh, okay. And it brings homeostasis back into your body. So it's really amazing and it's cool. And all you have to do, this is like the easy part for you, it's just sitting back, closing your eyes, and just getting into a space of being receptive, because the more you kind of can take these frequencies in, the deeper they'll go, right? And the more impact that they'll have. And so I put together, 200 frequencies, perfected Hertz frequencies, that are really about balancing, kind of the fire element within us, activating it, then also creating that grounding connection that Teresa was talking about and mentioning, that is so important for us right now. And then also just bringing in, all of the cosmic events that we talked about and the associated things that might be coming up for you. Like, this will be emotionally balancing and grounding for you, right? And, all those things. So, right now, let's just go ahead and sit back in your chair, get relaxed, close your eyes, take some nice, deep, letting go breaths. I love that we already got the energy moving and we, feel like we've let go of a lot already. And just open your heart. If you can, focus on your heart, because this is the place of unconditional love. This is, this holds like our healing center. If you're familiar with the energy centers and the chakra centers, the heart is how we heal, right? I mean, you think about what love does to heal. It's amazing. So if you can just focus on your heart chakra. And I just wanted to, it's just a little blessing. I wanted to just, as we move into this biofeedback, have this be, in your mind for you to think about. As the sun spirals its longest dance, cleanse us. As nature shows bounty and fertility, bless us. Let all things live with loving intent and to fulfill their truest destiny. And then we'll listen to 5 minutes.
You've got the gong.
The gong. Rhonda knows the gong. The gong only comes on. I can't control it, but it measures how responsive, the receiver is to the frequencies. And so the gong comes on if you have a significant, excellent response. So good work, everybody. That's amazing. I love that. That's the way we can, start this beautiful solstice season off, knowing that we are already overachieving.
That's awesome. Katie, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your Patreon and how everyone can get these every month for the month of energies, and just explain your Patreon a little bit to our audience.
I'd love to. Yeah. If you did feel, a resonance with the frequencies and you enjoyed them, you can go to my website, and it's just katiesteinle.com, and download for free. I've got 3 different playlist sets on there. And then also a great way to connect with me is, like Rhonda mentioned, on Patreon. If you go to patreon.com, I guess that's /Katie Steinle, then you, for just $10, I do customized frequencies every week that go out. And we focus on either, what's going on to align and attune energetically with the cosmic weather, or we focus on specific things. Like sometimes we'll do, physical issues and just empowerment things. And, it's a cup of coffee, I think these days, is probably $10. So, why not take that and just do something to really up level yourself and expand yourself?
Yeah, it's lovely to be able to connect every month to in your little tribe that you have, and talk about the human design and the energies, and get a more personal kind of thing that's going on too. So it's lovely to be able to do that, and it's a nice safe space to be able to do that. Jennifer Soto said, fantastic. Did anybody else have any, epiphanies? I mean, I was doing stuff there. I don't know where. That's until I came back.
You were off on another planet.
Pretty much so, yes.
I love that.
Yeah. I was trying to explain them to somebody else one day. Yeah. So I just had to play them. So, yeah. Anybody else? No, I don't see anybody else yet who's commented. So, Teresa, I gotta unmute you. I'm sorry, I muted you earlier.
Okay, thank you. I was on outside of space and time in another place, so like another planet, but it was like coming out of the forest in this valley. There was these yellow flowers everywhere, and they're just everywhere. And where I was by this brook. I can hear the babbling of this little brook or stream going by. And at first it just sounds like that, but the more I tuned in with the flowers and the area, I can hear the brook, and it was giving me a message. I can't remember it now. Oh no, it was really neat, and it had to do with source being my abundance, but there's more to it. I just can't remember it.
Well, it probably went into more of your subconscious space and awareness, right? Which is actually even deeper embedded. So that's beautiful. And that makes sense that the yellow with the summer, and then getting the message about source, the brightest light of everything, right? Being our abundance. And when we can focus on that, it does allow all of the little things, even some of the big things, to kind of fall away and sort themselves out. Oh, Mary, I'm so glad you were on today. Thank you.
Yeah, we've got lots of our YouTube followers on today, so that's awesome. So
I love it. I love it. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Yeah, and in the Celestial Circle, Rhonda and Jen that had just posted, that's on Patreon as well. And it's just, it's a small, intimate group of like-minded people. And we just get together once a month, and we have the best time, and we just talk about what's coming up energetically for all of us. And we do, like we did today, some Qigong and, biofeedback and different things to just kind of help us be more aligned and empowered. And trust me, whether it's the celestial circle or you find something on your own, but that, I mean, really connection is the driving force. And we've seen what happens when we got disconnected and how devastating that was. And so any way that you can find connection and self-empowerment these days is going to be key for your resiliency.
Okay, so I just have a couple of questions for you. Have you got a new favorite song this week?
Oh, my favorite song right now. Well, it's been my favorite song for a while. I've heard it sung by so many different people. I don't know who the original singer is, but it's "I Love You, Baby," and it's whenever I hear it, it's Parker's song to me, and it's the coolest thing. And I got to tell you guys, it comes on at the like it's not something that's played all the time on the radio, but it will come on at the most precise
Is that the
moment.
retro "I Love You, Baby"?
I
I
think
love you,
yes.
baby. Yeah, okay. No,
No,
sorry, I won't. I have no biotones in my voice, so
I don't either. I don't either. But yeah, it just comes on. It's magical for me. So thank you
that's
for
lovely.
asking. And it's so
Lovely.
uplifting. You guys should just Google that song. It's such a great song.
Yeah, it is. It's a really good song. Um, any new crystals that you've come into your possession or have come into possess you?
Coming to possess me. Oh, that's a good
You
question.
know, they kind of pop into your.
It is funny how, yeah, like you're again, your awareness, right? And this same thing when you think of like what crystal pops into your mind all of a sudden, it's the same thing with the frequency. I mean, we're all frequency, and that's what's happening energetically to us with the planetary influences. But nothing new, but really strongly, probably the last maybe week or two, rose quartz, because I am realizing, the self-love that I need to really step up that connection to self-love, to get myself through this kind of challenging time. And then celestialite. I've just been,
Celestite? Yeah.
how do you say it? Celestialite? The blue?
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
the blue. Celestite.
Celestial blue. When you look up on a sunny, clear day and you see that beautiful blue in the sky, that's the crystal color that Rhonda's holding up. And it's associated with angelic support. Again, I mean, Parker tells me all the time, like, we have no idea how supported we are, in other realms, how many people that have our back. The universe has your back ultimately. I know a lot of times it does not seem like that. I will be the first to say that. But when you can start tapping into, like, just holding that stone, it really gives you kind of that peace.
It's a real angel stone.
Yeah.
Also, fairies make their homes in those little crystal caves that you
Oh, neat.
Oh my God.
So
See?
that's what I'm told. That's what I'm told. But,
that's even better.
I have it. Keep it away from the sunlight, guys, because they fade if they're in the sun.
Oh.
So I put them in my house, but not in direct sunlight.
Very good to know. I think I have one in direct sunlight, so I will make note of that and change it.
Just a stone tip. And so, have you seen any UFOs lately? Like, last week or two or last month?
I have not, but I did see something on Instagram that, you never know when people post stuff, but they said, isn't it funny that the CIA just casually released some kind of document, basically saying that our universe is a holographic, and it's kind of like a simulation of a matrix. And it's supposedly was like something that the CIA actually released. Because I know, like, I've seen other things that said, like, in the last year or two, you're more of an expert on that, Rhonda, the CIA is like kind of started to just like release all of these like encounters,
Yeah, we told you it was true all along. What are you talking about? They're trying to gaslight us all. That's what I said. What do you mean they're not real? Oh, of course they're real. We've been telling you that all along. Yeah.
And you're like, wait, no, you haven't. So
people have lost their jobs over reporting sightings of them. No, you guys are, But I guess it's time. It's time.
Clearly, yeah. The CIA's coming out. Yeah, I guess
Or
there's
unless they're going to use it for some other kind of propaganda, like the blue light, where they can project invasions in the sky. And like, why would they suddenly invade now? Like, honestly, come on, guys. No, they've been here for thousands of years, and if they wanted to, we'd be dust by now if they wanted it.
Well,
So,
I liked what Melinda said at the beginning. She said, we humans, we are the AI. I mean, we are, like, compared to,
Yeah.
like animals and everything else on the planet, we probably are the aliens.
oh, we definitely are weird. Yeah, compared to, we are so out of sync at times with our natural surroundings. It's sad. So that's why it's really important to get out in nature and sync up again.
Yes, it is.
Get those nature downloads into your AI. So
Seriously.
seriously, what a delight it has been to have you on today. Teresa, do you have the winner and have any other questions or comments
I
today?
think you must have told me, but I did not write it down, Rhonda.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
I'm
Judy
sorry.
Huffman, you
Yes, now I
are
remember. Judy Huffman. Woo!
you are the winner of one of our Spirit Sessions meditations. We have another one in our vault that we think works, so we may be sending that one link out to you. So that one's the one of our trip to Avalon, but we just have to check for technical reasons and make sure it's all cool. So we may be sending that one out to you, or the Egyptian one, which you can, have a spa day, a soul spa day, or soul spa
Nice.
hour. So yeah, it's kind of cool. It's fun. So tell us if you have anything new going on there, Katie Stanley, this week. Is there anything new on your Patreon or anything else that's coming up on your calendar of events?
Actually, there is. I'm in the Seattle area. If anybody's in the Seattle area, it's on my website, katiestanley.com. But I am joining forces that they say the future of medicine and healing will be light and sound based. And we're already seeing that, as I mentioned, like with the biofeedback that I use. And so you've had Lee on the show before.
Lee Grove, yes.
Lee Grove. He works with, like all the different colored lights, like infrared, promotes a certain kind of healing. Blue light, is good for, pain and bacteria. Green light, I think, helps with like migraines. It's amazing. So she works with the whole light spectrum. And then I worked with the sound, the biofeedback, and we're doing it's a free event, and it's in Bellevue. So check it out on my website. This Saturday from 1 to 3. It's going to be a lot of fun. And
I wish I could make it.
I know. I wish we could just kind of, we'll put your phone up and you can remote. Because quantum,
Oh, I know. Personally, I know the infrared. It was instrumental in my scar healing and my wound healing. And I showed it to the doctor, and they said, "What are you doing?" Like as soon as I could get up and have it plugged in. And they go, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm using infrared. Do you guys talk about this?" She said, "No, we haven't really explored it yet." But
Rhonda's ahead of the doctors. That's the thing. That's what's cool about this.
But my neighbor, like, I had 2 red infrared lights. One was for my animals, and I've had that across the road at my friend's house. She just broke her ankle, and she's finding a lot of relief and speeding up the healing from the infrared. And I'm watching a harrier go over my field right now. That's one of those big, long-winged hawks that are flying over, looking for dinner to feed to their babies. They nest on the ground at this time of year. So
it is the season of babies. Yeah. Oh, that's
babies everywhere.
Yeah. I love when you catch moments like that. Lately, I've twice this last week. I live by a huge lake, and the bald eagles come down and they skim the water, and it's this moment in time where you almost have to just pause. You're just so mesmerized, like you said, like just the stillness of the flight, something about it. It's magical.
They are. I'll have to get out to Seattle sometime. I'm hoping to make it out sometime. Just to come and see you. Go on the ferry from Victoria to Seattle.
Or I'll come to Victoria.
Okay.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, we have to do it when it's warmer because my kids want me to come in the end of October, and Victoria in October.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's all right.
It's better in May. May is the best time.
Oh, let me know, Rhonda. We have to make that happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Katie, again. And hey, Teresa, anything coming up for you? You have your new moon readings going out.
Yeah, they went out Saturday, and right now I'm still doing the sell on my Akashic readings. You know, I realized I'm an Akashic mystic, and I thought, oh, I'm going to take that name, but I looked it up. Somebody's already got it. But I totally understand what it means, and it resonates. That's why when you get a past life or future life reading from me, the different kind of details that I bring in are not the same kind. I'm not going to tell you like the names or the dates, but there's connections and like, wow, look at it connects here, here, and here, and all those weird kind of things that I thought were so weird. Well, that's all because I'm a mystic and I'm bringing in different information. So it's
That's
been fun doing my summer sale with all these Akashic readings. It's stretching me.
And Teresa's information is in the links in this podcast bio, YouTube. You can see them at the bottom of the page along with mine. And if anybody's in Eastern Ontario, this in the next month, July 8th, I have a Reiki Level 1 class going on. I have 4 more seats left. I only like 6 people in my class, so it's a hands-on, in-person class for 8 hours at my farm, and we can do the animals if people are up for that, or we can just stay inside or hopefully be outside as long as the bugs aren't bad.
Great.
How exciting.
Yeah, so it'll be fun. Yeah, it'll be fun. I've got a couple of people who wanted to do it, so I've got room for 4 more. So whether or not I get it doesn't matter. It'll be what it is.
Lucky souls, you are such a powerful Reiki master. I mean, I've had Reiki from a lot of people, and I have to say, Rhonda is next level.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Katie. It sounds like we're just like our own cheerleaders, but that's great because we are. We're a powerful bunch, and when the 3 of us get together, woo-woo. That's right. And I wish Bex was here today, and she unfortunately had to work, but that's her. She's moving up in different directions as well, but she'll be back next week, I hope. And we have Robert Lindsay. He's a medium from Toronto, Ontario, who's coming on. So that'll be exciting. Yeah.
I love mediums. I have mad respect for mediums. Wow.
Yeah. We've had a lot from that area of Canada. We've been just lucky with Michelle, who sends us lovely people all the time. And hopefully, I'm trying to get Michelle back on because she's a remote reader and she teaches remote viewing. She's an awesome person. So, anyways, check us out. You can check out our podcast. So you can check us out on YouTube. We have back seasons there. Our archive on YouTube is our full 6 season. Podcast is 3 seasons, and you can check us out on the Breakthrough Network and show, and you can watch that every week too, because Jessica Dugas does the Project Joy, which is always fun. It's like you can watch Joy every day on this place. So
yes.
You guys take care, and we will see you. I'm going to put up the brand, and we will see you next week. Thank you all for joining us.
Bye.
Stay.
Bye.